There we go. Hello and welcome to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. With me, as always, is the man behind the curtain, the
Phil.
man. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself, man.
Thought you're pulling the curtain aside. Phil Perich.
Yes. I was gonna say I love to praise you. You know.
Praise, man.
I love to praise my Phil. Oh, okay. So, Phil, what phrase is every DC Comics fan soon going to learn to say?
Like all the Marvel ones. Bendis.
Bendis! He's coming for you, Superman. No, actually, Bendis is a great writer, and everyone's like, I love how happy everyone seems at Marvel right now. Honestly, if I was this, I'd be like, dude, can't you be a little upset I'm leaving?
Yeah, but I mean, is it like the corporate thing? They can't like look too sad. They can't be seen publicly going, no, come back, save us.
No, well, I mean, they got real mad when Byrne left, man. That's all I'm saying. This is like a very different situation than when Byrne left for DC back in the day. Because,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Before we jump all into that, I saw, I think it was on either Facebook or Twitter, people were saying they're like, oh, Bendis is leaving. You know who should write Miles Morales now?
Well, yeah, David Walker, friend of the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, he certainly should. And he said, yeah, I'd love to. Don't tell me you want me to write Miles Morales. Yes, tell Marvel that. And so, yeah, so hey, fans of the show, write in and say, dear Marvel, would you please let David Walker write Miles Morales? Because I think it would be the Ginchiest.
Oh, yeah.
The most Ginch, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think he would have a great take on the character. He is certainly, and not for nothing, someone's got to write Ironheart. Someone's got to write Miles. There's all these books that Bendis just has out there. They're gonna let him tie up his loose ends, but folks gotta start writing these things.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Do you think it's like it's what it appears to be, where he's just like, oh yeah, I want to go to new creative fields? But I mean, leaving Marvel, he's leaving behind, his original creation, Miles Morales, Jessica Jones.
Yeah, but you know what? What I'm going to tell you is, well, first off, I'm sure the Warner's brothers drove up the money truck. And this is the thing. DC has been doing these exclusive rights things a lot. Yeah. This is sort of their shtick now. They just do exclusive rights, and they hope that's going to get people to like their comic books. Don't know if it's working. I don't know if the exclusivity is really working. Personally, I don't think the exclusivity is as good of a deal as DC thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact of the matter is, I think that, honestly, in that type market, you're much better off saying, oh, hey, you liked what, Bendis did with Miles? Well, come see what Bendis is going to do with Superman or Superboy or, Super Sons or Wonder Woman or anything else, See what Bendis is going, see Bendis's Wonder Woman take. You like Jessica Jones, see Bendis on Wonder Woman. You liked, what's going to be interesting is to see if they give him as much as Marvel gave him. Because, of course, he was basically, Secret Invasion, that was his, if I recall correctly. Did he come up with the first Civil War?
No.
No, that wasn't him. That wasn't him? Okay. Well, I know he did Secret Invasion, which was a huge event. And, Bendis, he's a great writer. He was certainly very influential at Marvel. I know that he was one of the, one of the driving forces around the Ultimate Universe. And, I still prefer the MC2 universe, but I know I'm in the minority there. When it comes to our alternate ideas of the Marvel universe, I like the MC2 universe.
Well, I was going to say, you were saying, oh, I wonder if DC is going to give him as much as Marvel did. Maybe that's part of the reason he left. Maybe he's like, wait, I don't have to write 50 books? You still want me to write 50 books?
No, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna say: guys that write 50 books, it's like Stephen King. There are people for whom they just have more ideas than they have books to put them in.
Yeah.
And there are people, you know, it doesn't say that someone's a better writer than someone else. It just makes you a more prolific writer. So if he's a prolific writer, he may just be a prolific writer. He may want to do 10 books at DC. And I think on some level, I'm sure it's just that idea that, ooh, these are toys I don't normally get to play with. You know? These, you know, I don't get to play with Superman. You know, I can do Superman pastiches, I can do Superman things, but I don't get to really do a Superman. You know, I don't really get to play with the holy trinity of the DC Comics universe, and now he gets to.
My question is my book going to go up in value at all? Brian Michael Bendis Words for Pictures.
Is it signed?
No.
Is it still in print?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if it's not in print, then it might.
But I mean, like everything in here is like, well, most of it is all Marvel. So.
Well, yeah, but you know, I mean, that's because that's what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, you know, yeah, I mean, Michael, who knows? Who knows if anything ever goes up in value? But I'm very, very happy for Bendis, and everyone seems to be very happy for Bendis. And I'll be very happy if this means more opportunities for David Walker. You know, because with Bendis leaving now, there's this great glut of great books that someone needs to pick up. So, and Marvel seems at least somewhat committed to a diversity of voices at their institution, and so, you know, fingers crossed. But yes, but you know, but I know DC fans, this is going to be both a blessing and a curse, because I think they're going to have great books that come out of it. But I know that what he's going to do is what Bendis does, which is he is going to mess with your canon.
Bendis.
Yes. He's going to say, my take on these characters is what these takes are. And it'll be interesting, you know.
No, he's gonna make Green Arrow grab a jetpack and launch himself into an alien ship, or he's gonna make Zatanna go all evil. No.
Yeah, who knows? Oh, yeah, that's right. He did.
No more metahumans.
Yeah. It'll happen. No, I don't think he's going to redo his old stories. That's the thing. It's you know, he's already told those stories. He's going to tell new stories. You know. Although, hey, you know, a sacrifice with a jetpack, that's a noble, heroic thing to do. So, you know, there's worse things that could happen to Green Arrow. Maybe he's going to give him a teen girl sidekick who wants to be the new Green Arrow.
He already has one, his sister.
Oh, well, there you go. So there you go. The Adventures of Speedy.
No. But did you see that article? I don't know if it was pure speculation, but they were saying, "Oh, is Hickman following Bendis right out the door?"
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I don't see. Here's the only thing. See, Hickman hasn't finished Shield yet, and like to me, that's like the only thing that would keep. I mean, that's the thing that would keep you at Marvel, because he does have this really epic thing. Although I also don't know if maybe he's getting soft on finishing it, because that was the interesting thing about recently, actually, because his character of Newton as the founder of Hydra has gotten played by other people recently, because he was in the Sorcerer Supreme's book, and he was in and he did show up in the Captain America, Captain Hydra arc. So it's possible that, you know, Shield won't get finished because he's maybe done with Shield and he's just going to let it grow organically and let other people play in the Shield box. He's established Shield, so maybe he's cool with just letting other people do it. I don't know. Like I said, here's my thing about exclusivity deals. You know, when Byrne left Marvel for DC, I think I got like 2 of the Superman books, and then I just stopped reading them, because, you know, it was good, and and Byrne's Superman will always be my Superman, because those were my first Superman books. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go just because I'm not going to. Well, let me put it this way. I think you do better when Bendis is still writing what you know and love. And then he says, oh, and now I'm going to start writing Superman too. So why don't you come over and see Superman? And then that introduces you to the DC canon, rather than saying, oh, all of the Bendis books are over at DC. Because now that means I've got to walk away from all the Bendis books that I'm already reading, you know, with all the characters who have ongoing arcs. And I'm going to go to new characters that I don't know or that I don't have this commitment to, just because Bendis is writing it. And I think that's asking a lot of a fan. I think that it is not as good of a deal as DC thinks it is. I think DC is, as always, is spending too much and getting too little back in return. That's my thought on it.
I mean, with others, maybe, but do you think they're banking on, you know, Bendis is such a big name, they're going to pull people no matter what he writes?
Well, I'll tell you right there, that's a big red flag. If say people do it no matter what he writes, it's like, no, people go if they think it's a good story.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason why Bendis got so big at Marvel was because people kept buying his stories. As much as there was a vocal group of people that did not like him, there was enough people still bought the books, and people bought them in droves. You know, if he was not he would not have become as big at Marvel if he was not the architect at Marvel, if he was not the guy who was making Marvel happen. So that's my take on that. So as far as, you know, they'll buy it no matter what he writes, no, because I don't think comic book fans do that. You know, I mean, yes, there are. I'm going to go out and I'm going to pick up books because David Walker wrote them. Okay, I'm going to do that. And truth be told, and I did go to Superman because Byrne wrote Superman.
Well, maybe not right so much as, hey, Bendis is right. Say Bendis is writing Batman. You're at least maybe someone will give it the first issue a glance.
Yeah, but you know what? What I'm going to say is, I think that here's what I'm going to say. You might give it a first glance, but what gives you a much more of a glance is if there's actually a good Batman story. That's
right. Oh yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. I mean, you know, he knows how to write, so it's like, you know, the name brings you in. Hey, if the story's there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think comic book readers follow characters more than they follow writers or artists. I think that we sometimes, you know, the writers and artists, but what you really know is your character. What you really know is, we know it doesn't matter who's writing it. Phil's going to pick up the Nightwing book. Yeah. You know, you make the Nightwing book, Phil's going to pick it up. You make the Fantastic Four book, I'm going to pick it up. Exactly. Benjamin Grimm, you know, although, like I said, at the same time, I didn't really stick with Ben Grimm and Guardians because there were too many people who weren't Ben Grimm in that. You have as many as 3 extra people in a book with Ben Grimm, and I'll buy it. Once you get that 4th person in there, then I'm like, why am I reading this?
Seems like they're building that. I mean, that Marvel 2-in-1 at least is him and Johnny Storm.
Yeah, well, yeah, at least at the start of it. So we're gonna see where that goes. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I like, I let the Ben Johnny dynamic was always nice, and it'll be interesting to see how it has changed and evolved now that they're both older people. You know, Johnny isn't the little kid anymore. You know,
the billionaire now.
Yeah, well, they were all technically billionaires. You know,
yeah.
And like I said, that's actually something that was established earlier in the comic book run. That they put him in charge of the licensing and franchising of stuff, and because they wanted him to be more mature, and he has gotten more mature. I mean, he's still a gadabout and all the things we love about Johnny Storm. He's still the guy who's gonna have Ms. Thing be his replacement. Just because that's who I slept with last night. So you seem like you could be a superhero.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And I'm interested in 2-in-1. I'm interested in that. Brand X comes out next week, so that's going to be fun. And Loki is the Sorcerer Supreme next week. I got a lot of books coming out next week.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Although this week We had some good books. We had Gwenpool. I haven't read all my books yet, but I did get to read Gwenpool. That was awesome. Because she gets sick of reformed Doctor Doom. So she says, I want you to be regular Doctor Doom. And turns them all evil again. It was pretty cool. It was like, it was like, whoa. Her powers are insane. And I love this aspect of it because, I always imagined that that's what would happen if you ever got transported into a comic book universe, that you would be like the Beyonder. You would just have that kind of power because you're a creator and you're in the land of the created. So that's one theory. So I was probably right now I will say Gwenpool is my pick of the week for comics. She-Hulk was very good too. Haven't read Red Hood yet.
Wow.
Yes, I do have it. I just haven't gotten a chance to read it. I haven't gotten to read either of my DC books, Superman or Red Hood. Which, and again, this is the problem when you want to invest in that exclusivity. So, since I don't have the attachment to the characters the way I do have an attachment to Gwenpool right now, it's harder for me to make the time to read Superman, New Superman, and Red Hood. But that's my take. Yeah.
Did you read Uncanny?
What did you like this week, Phil?
Did you read Uncanny Avengers 29?
No, I forgot to get it. And I had like all these other books, and I was like, oh, Uncanny Avengers. Yeah, I totally forgot to get that. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I need to grab that. But I already had like 5 other books that were already in my pool, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, Dr. Voodoo, remember he called on the servants of Sidorak to help them rebuild the mansion, and they accidentally free the Juggernaut because the spell works on Juggernaut, so he gets freed from custody. I guess the little blurb on the first or second page says Iceman captured him in his book, but I guess the Juggernaut gets free, and this book should have been called The Arrogance of Quicksilver.
Oh, does he get stomped on?
Well, no. Well, Rogue tells him, I need you and Synapse to go do this. He's like, no, me and Synapse, we can take care of Juggernaut. And then Synapse gets like really hurt.
Yeah. Well, isn't that always Quicksilver's thing?
Then everyone yells at Quicksilver at the end, and he's like, "We don't have to take this, sister. Let's leave." And she's like, "No." She's like, "Until you learn how to, tone it down and listen." She's like, "No, there's no place for you here."
Yeah. Quicksilver's always got problems, man. He has real social problems,
Oh, it's so funny. He's standing there. He's like, I don't have to, it's basically, I don't have to listen. I'm the person here who's been on the team the longest. And meanwhile, the Wasp is standing there, and she's like, Janet Van Dyne. She's like, hey, I'm a founder, you jerk.
Well, not so much anymore. Is she still in the statue?
I think she's still. I think she was small, but I think she's still there. But yeah, they just added that Voyager. But I'm pretty sure she's still there.
That's going to be interesting, Voyager. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, that's cool that Juggernaut got free because Juggernaut's fun. I do love Juggernaut. I like Cyttorak. Cyttorak's getting more play lately. I've seen a lot of him. I've seen him getting written up a lot in a lot of side press about Marvel books lately. So I think there's big stuff coming with Cyttorak. So watch for it. Like, we're gonna do the thing with the I-beams. Watch, man. So which Iceman captured him, or was it both Icemen?
It didn't say. It just said, I think that the issue was Iceman number 5. But yeah, it really didn't. His guards are just taunting him. Oh, you were captured by Iceman, Frosty the Snowman. But they didn't say which one.
Yeah.
Oh, but
good for the Iceman. Yes.
Also, Spirits of Vengeance number 2.
Oh, I did read that one. That's
nice.
Interesting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always a little weirded out when they go into Christian mythos with that stuff. Especially if they try to say that's like the big mythos, and it's like, really, and the 30 pieces of silver, it's cool, but I don't know. It kind of sits a little weird with me when they do that. I'll be honest with you. I didn't like it when DC did that with like something. They did like they did something with like the Spear of Destiny, the spear that pierced the side. It was one of their big crossover. It was when when all the villains took over briefly, and it was a couple years back.
Okay, yeah, but they also did that on Legends of Tomorrow last season too, Spear of Destiny.
Oh yeah. But that's a stupid show to start with. So I don't hold it to that kind of. Basically, what I'm going to say is, Legends of Tomorrow isn't trying to be anything more than what it is. It's a silly show, and I can deal with a Spear of Destiny. And what it is a Spear of Destiny is and actually, and the way they presented it, it's like, so to me, the Spear of Destiny kind of exists, at least in the way that Legends of Tomorrow describe it, as something a little more like it's sort of like an Infinity Stone, but it just takes the shape that we understand. And so because we have this Christian mythos, we put this idea that it is the Spear of Destiny. But you could easily imagine that it could have other interpretations in other mythos as well. And that's sort of this question that when you get those kind of things, like when they say that these are the 30 pieces of silver, do they mean these are the actual 30 pieces of silver that an actual guy named Judas received for betraying an actual guy named Yeshua, which is actually Jesus' real name?
Jesus.
Yes. Or is this just the interpretation and the form it takes so that you mortals can understand what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting question. But it was cool. I mean, I liked it. It wasn't as high on my list as Gwenpool was. I mean, obviously Gwenpool, I thought really it hits its notes fantastically. When you come to the basic Marvel trope of the infant terrible, the infant terrible, as Stan Lee would say, it really hit it perfectly with Gwenpool, and I love that about it. So it was really good, and but yeah, I mean, like the Spirits of Vengeance were okay. Honestly, hitting me it's not hitting me in the nerd spot as much as I would like it to. I don't know what it is. I think maybe the art's a little off, but I just think in a lot of levels, I just, and one of the things that's kind of bugging me is I don't feel like I'm getting enough, because this was issue 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of thought when I'm reading it, did I miss an issue? Because it seemed like there was like stuff that was happening that there was something else that was supposed to be happening in between, and I yeah.
Unless they're rushing it along, because I think it's only like, I think it's a miniseries. I think it's only like 5 or 6 issues. So
yeah, but then then tell a smaller story.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always my thing. It's like, oh, they have to rush it to get it in, and like, well, then then you're trying to tell too much story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say it was bad. I really enjoyed it. And I think the plot line is interesting. The Necrodamus is an interesting villain character here, and I wonder what his end game is. As he's seeking to unseat undo the balance of power between the Cold War of Heaven and Hell. It's an interesting concept.
Heaven and Hell, who have that summit every 1,000 years.
Yeah, which is which is their Friday, as they say, which I thought was neat.
Their quarterly meeting.
Yeah, let's sit down, let's talk. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. She-Hulk was interesting too. Did you read She-Hulk?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah. So She-Hulk, it's interesting. It's interesting what they have going on with it. I like that Patsy Walker is a regular character in it. I like that they're not making her the train wreck character. She's actually much more in line with a more traditional Patsy Walker. The teen fangirl who's now a superhero, which I liked. and so that's good. And there's a nice plot. It involves the leader, which I do love. And it was, it had me thinking about what they could do if they were to do a Hulk standalone film. Because they can't go to Planet Hulk. But I was thinking, what they need to do is they need to tell a She-Hulk story. And they need to have the creation of the She-Hulk being all part of some kind of crazed plan of the leader. Because we do know that leader with Blonsky is off in the icebox right now. But I like the idea of the leader as kind of almost like Hannibal Lecter, with just a telephone manipulating all the people on the out there in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And just the idea that, because I was thinking, what would be a great plot for the leader is he's trying to figure out how to harness David Banner's stuff. And so he starts manipulating events so that he can create another Hulk to show that if he can make it work properly. Because, and of course, this is my idea, is that he would theorize that, if we could have someone with the same mitochondrial DNA as Bruce Banner, then that person might have a more similar reaction. And of course, the way you have the same mitochondrial DNA is you share a common female ancestor. And since he doesn't have any sisters, you would go with his cousin on his matrilineal line, because both sisters would have the same mitochondrial DNA, and that mitochondrial DNA would pass on to their children.
Well, now that you mention that's interesting, because like the deal with Hulk is Marvel really can't do a solo Hulk because of the whole Universal deal. So didn't they say they're doing like a Hulk trilogy now in the other movies? But that next phase, like after Infinity War, when they do like Captain Marvel and Black Panther and everyone, what if instead of the Hulk they do can Marvel do a solo like She-Hulk maybe, and you have like Mark Ruffalo as the mentor?
I mean, you could certainly do that. There's lots of interesting ways to do it. And honestly, right now we don't even know. Maybe Disney's just going to buy Universal too. Is it Universal or Paramount?
I think it's Universal. I think I heard someone say that.
I mean, Universal needs something, because
are they still around even?
They pulled the plug on the Dark Universe, and you know what? This is their mistake, because this is the mistake DC's making. Everyone forgets about the Incredible Hulk. Everyone forgets that it wasn't always hits. Everyone forgets that actually Captain America didn't do that well at the box office. Captain America, it did okay. It did decently. I don't know if it did as bad as The Mummy did. But it's like right now with DC saying, "Oh, well, we're not gonna have an interconnected universe. We might, it'll be sort of interconnected, but not really." Meanwhile, it's like none of the Superman films, as critically poorly received as they were, lost money. None of them were flops. Stick to your guns, DC. Stick to your guns.
Well, what DC is going to do? They've already confirmed the solo Flash movie is going to be Flashpoint. So I think they're going to, just like X-Men Days of Future Past, they're going to use that to reset their thing. Anything they want to keep, they're going to keep. Any story plots they want to get rid of, gone.
I don't even get me started on the X-Men universe, because I don't even think they did that in X-Men. I don't think you can say, oh yeah, after Days of Futures Past they reset their universe. It's like, no, not really.
Well, that's what they tried to sell you, but then it's like, wait a minute, then they have the McAvoy stuff, but then Old Man Logan's Patrick Stewart. It's like, what?
But Old Man Logan is always with Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
The only time he wasn't was when McAvoy and the other guy walk into him in the bar and he says, nope. That was like the only time they did that. But every other time, he's always in his own universe. So now, you could say that if he comes in and it's McAvoy in Patrick Stewart makeup.
Yeah.
If they tried to blend the universes that way, then you could have said, oh, that was their reboot, that was their resetting. But no, it was just, okay, no, he's just back here and we don't have that problem. We have the Old Man Logan problem. you know. But there is one thing I really want to talk about. Okay. And this is the thing I've been kind of harping on, because I kind of feel like there are these things that I see, and maybe I'm just crazy, but I see these things and I go like, why isn't this a bigger deal? Why aren't people really discussing this? This is how like my thing with Fly Fisherman Rick, that's important, and no one is talking about why he decided to be Fly Fisherman Rick, swallow all of his pride to stay with his family. Why the guy who's the nihilist who says none of you ever really matter, this is all infinite, why did he decide I'm going to stay when he didn't have to? Yet no one talks about it. And what is really making me think here is Blue Korg. Because of course, Korg is blue. Korg is not orange. And my big think on this is that I think that, and I can't pronounce the guy's name. Wateti? I forget the director's name.
Yeah.
He's the guy who actually plays Korg. And I'm actually thinking he did that intentionally to troll everybody, troll people that are like, oh, you can't make Johnny Storm black. You're disrupting the artistic vision of Kirby. How dare you disrupt the artistic vision of Kirby? And I'm thinking, Korg was a Kirby creation. Why aren't you upset about that? If your care is for the artistic integrity of these characters, why is a blue Korg not driving you nuts? I mean, I'm not even seeing like bona fide nerds just going, oh man, why'd they make Korg blue? And there's so many liberties taken with Korg.
Yep. Yeah, but is it what you're thinking, or is it possibly like a Hulk thing? Like, I mean, in the comics, the very first issue, The Incredible Hulk, the Hulk is gray. Second issue, he's green. Didn't they say I think, didn't Stan Lee and them say that, I don't know, the gray didn't show up as well, at least with the printing process they had at the time.
Yeah, that's the official statement, that they wanted to make him gray, but that the printing process at the time just wasn't, that the color wasn't what it was like. The color wasn't reading well.
So I'm just wondering if Korg is a CGI character, if maybe he didn't look as good in his original color, if blue looked better on the screen.
You could make that argument, except they already had a Cronin in Dark World.
Oh, okay.
Remember, and that's like the big giant Cronin that he hits and he breaks into all the stones. Now it's a very different take on the Cronins. So you can certainly make the argument, well, no, that's why they had to change him, except he's already smaller, so you didn't have to do that. You could have actually just kept them orange. I honestly think, and just because, the director, and again, I can't pronounce his name, I haven't heard anyone say his name yet. And that's my problem. I haven't heard his name said, so I don't know how to pronounce it.
I've heard it once or twice.
Yeah, I really haven't, and because honestly, I don't watch as much TV as I used to. At least not like, I get my information on the internet mostly by reading nowadays. So I'm back to being when I read Marvel Comics and I didn't know how to pronounce things, But what was I saying? So yeah, but him making, but he's a guy, he's a person of color, and he's very, he always, makes this point about you hire Native people wherever you're shooting. So there's a lot of Native Australians, a lot of Native New Zealanders that are in the film, and you make this commitment to this diversity in this cast. And I do think that maybe in his choice to make Korg blue, he is trying to see if anyone is actually going to make a statement about it. If any of the people that stand up every time, Nick Fury's African American, oh, that's awful. You can't have a black cap. You can't have a black Nick Fury. That's awful. You're destroying who that character is by making him that. And I get the feeling that this is his way of saying, why is no one complaining? Why is no one complaining? I took a character, a beloved character, and totally changed him, changed his color, changed his personality, changed who he was. Not a peep out of anyone. Now, granted, he played him very well, and he's a really fun and lovable character. But for every person, you know, African American Johnny Storm, still Johnny Storm, still a hothead, and maybe a little more angrier than just reckless, but you know, still a hothead. African American Nick Fury, still thinking 6 steps ahead of everybody, still the same Nick Fury character, yet it freaks people out. And I got to feel that Blue Korg is his way to troll these guys, to show exactly how racist they really are. Because they always say, "I'm not racist. I just believe in the integrity of the character." And it's like, no, clearly you don't. Because if you believed in the integrity of a character, Blue Korg should bother you as much as Black Johnny Storm.
Well, one, I mean, do you think some of the people who complain maybe don't know the comics as deeply as the rest of us, so they don't know that there's been a color change?
Well, in that case, you shouldn't be commenting about what the artistic integrity of white Johnny Storm is.
But I'm just saying. I mean, a whole heck of a lot more of the general public knows who Johnny Storm is, or
but
even Nick Fury over Korg.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna say is that if your argument is, you know, there's this, you know, that this character has to be this because this is who that character is, because that's who that character was. If you're going to come to it as, I'm a hardcore nerd and I say that this is what this character is, then you better be able to back it up. You can't be, oh, I'm just a casual fan, I don't know who Korg was, especially considering how important Korg was to the entire Planet Hulk story. You know, it's not like Korg was just a character in that one first issue of Thor or Journey into Mystery, whatever it was. You know, he actually is a central character in the Planet Hulk story, in World War Hulk, and then onward. In fact, he's still around. Korg is still around, I think. Or did he die? I can't remember if Korg died recently or not. But yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think that the blueing of Korg was an intentional troll, just to point out how racist people are, and no one is commenting on it yet.
Do you think maybe the outcry isn't there just because Korg is of a race, a totally fictional race from a totally fictional planet?
Okay, but here's the thing. Yes, he's from a totally fictional race, from a totally fictional planet, just like the Kree. But the fact of the matter is that changing the color of a character is changing the color of a character. Yeah. If your argument is, I'm not saying you can't have a black superhero, I'm just saying don't change the artistic vision of the original character. If that's your argument, that you don't want to change if your argument is the reason I'm against a black Johnny Storm is because Johnny Storm is white in the comics and he should stay white, then you should dang well be just as much defending the orangeness of Korg, you know? You should, you know, it's like, you know, here's the thing. If they had painted if the thing had been blue, would it be as much of a problem for people as Johnny Storm being black?
I think I see where you're coming from. You're saying some of these people who complain about the whole Johnny Storm thing, and that was just a bad movie. But
no, it was a bad movie. I'm not saying the movie was.
Yeah, I know you're not defending the movie. I know, but
I'm not defending that movie. No,
I know, but I know what you're saying. Black Johnny Storm, Black Nick Fury. You know, some of these people who are saying this may be racist, and I agree with you.
Black Mordo, you know.
Yeah. But playing devil's advocate, I think a lot of these fans who, I mean, there's people who just go to see the movies, never pick up a comic book, and they're like, "Boy, I'm a big Marvel fan," and I just want I just want to slap them. But I'm just saying, I think a lot of these people aren't as passionate as you or me, or definitely you.
But what I'm going to say is, those people aren't the ones complaining about a black Johnny Storm.
You don't think? You don't think?
No.
You don't think some of these people just go to see the movies and then they hop online and say, "This isn't my Johnny Storm," you know, wherever.
Well, no. I think that here's what I'm going to say. There are people that don't like black characters, and I don't think they're going to make that basically, I've never seen someone say, I'm a casual fan, I don't like the fact that Johnny Storm is black.
Well, no one, that's what I say. No one says they're a casual fan, but there's people who say, I've seen every Marvel movie, and they think they know the whole
No,
canon.
But like I say, well, first off, if you've seen every Marvel movie, then Nick Fury has always been black.
Exactly.
You know, I mean that's the thing.
Unless you're calling back to Hasselhoff.
Yeah, I've actually never seen that whole film. I taped it, and I just never got around to watching it years ago, and then I just never. Oh, actually, I think. Oh, because that was before DVRs. I think I didn't get the chance to tape it.
Yeah, that was like, what was that? Like mid 90s.
Yeah, it was one of those things. But I mean, I saw parts of it. Mm-hmm. I liked what I saw. I mean, hey, Hasselhoff, he's furious. But yeah, I just no. But I think that making Korg blue was an intentional trolling of these people, and that no one is mentioning it. I think means the trolling worked. And I'm waiting for him to come and say, yeah, I was waiting for someone to make a whole statement about it. And no one is, because obviously they really are racists. And it's not about, what the artistic integrity of the thing is, because no, they just don't like black people.
So is he gonna make that statement then? Because I mean, if he doesn't say it,
well, you know what? Probably
it's gonna go over a lot of people's heads. I'm pretty sure, because I haven't seen anyone else saying or heard anyone saying this.
I know. What I'm gonna say is, when Thor Ragnarok comes out on DVD and they do the director commentary, I bet you he's gonna make a whole statement on that.
Oh, he's gonna be like, he's gonna be like, oh, I just changed the color because and explain the whole thing and be like,
yeah. Well, I mean, because you can always make an argument for why they changed it. You could always say, oh, well, they changed it because they didn't want it to look like the Thing, and there's Fox things and stuff like that. Except, like I said, they already had a Cronin in Thor: Dark World. You already had these things established, so you don't have a good argument for why they had to change in blue. Yeah, and I think the only argument is because he wanted to troll people who get upset about, because there were already people upset about Black Valkyrie. And there you go. There's a thing. Black Valkyrie, people lose their heads. No one mentions Blue Korg. So I think maybe that was his point in making Korg blue. Because I think they might have changed Korg's colors later, because I think earlier Korg might have been orange. I think I saw clips of orange Korg. Mm-hmm. And I think they made him blue later. And I think he probably made him blue just to see if anyone was going to freak out about a blue Korg as much as they freaked out about a Black Valkyrie.
I had no problem with Black Valkyrie. I mean, I shouldn't say it was a problem. I mean, her acting was great, but did she seem like a little short to you?
They're gods. I don't know how.
I know, but I was just thinking more of like an Amazonian type thing. I mean, even if they had put her in big heels, boots with big heels. I mean,
well, not for nothing, she is standing next to Chris Hemsworth the whole time.
True.
And not for nothing, it's not like Mark Ruffalo's a short guy.
True. And then she's standing.
I think both of them are
yeah.
I think. Well, no, I mean, even when he's Mark Ruffalo, he's not he's not a puny Banner. Mark Ruffalo he's very much of the Bill Bixby version of the Hulk, where he's actually a pretty acceptable looking guy. He's
a point. Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo. These were not short people that they were putting him. It's sort of like I remember Andy Richter was once making this point. Because I was watching. I loved the original Conan O'Brien show, and they went to this thing. They went to this town they went to this Texas airport because in Texas Conan O'Brien aired at 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. As it also did in Michigan. That there was this big gap between when the Tonight Show ended and then Conan started. Hmm. Yeah, it was like that in a couple of markets for whatever reason. And they met this big drunk guy, and he says, "Oh man, you can't be going. I don't recognize you without that little fat guy next to you." And Andy Richter made the point that he's 6'2".
Yeah.
So I'm 6'2". That only looks short because Conan O'Brien is 7.5 feet tall.
I know. I mean, that's the thing.
Uh,
If you
uh,
don't, if you see people on the TV screen or movie screen and you've never met
uh,
them in person, yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell how tall some of these people
yeah.
are. I mean, how do you think Tom Cruise has a career as an
Well,
action star?
exactly, yeah. Because but my point is that they shoot him up and they have him stand on orange crates and things like
Hmm.
that. Just like they did with Humphrey Bogart. Um,
Oh, but that's what I was going to say. You were talking about the Universal monster movies that kind of
mhm,
seems dead now. It's
yeah.
well, that Mummy movie, instead of, I mean, I didn't see it, but it seemed like even from the advertising, they weren't focusing on the Mummy. It was more like a Tom Cruise movie featuring the
Yeah.
Mummy.
Well, it was weird because the original Mummy, Boris Karloff's Mummy, is actually only one because basically there's the Boris Karloff character
Hmm.
who we think of as the Mummy, but there is actually the Queen character as well in there, who is what this character in the villain character is supposed to be in this. And then there is the Egyptologist who is sort of the romantic lead.
Hmm.
So the idea that the romantic lead is there is important, but they kind of cut out the Boris Karloff character. They sort of merged that into this female mummy character. And like I said, I haven't seen it, but it's like, but to me, it's like, okay, so that was a bomb.
Hmm.
You know, First off, you shouldn't have paid all that money for Tom Cruise. Especially when you had a perfectly good Brendan Fraser. That's the thing. That's the thing to remember about Robert Downey Jr. He wasn't. I mean, he was a known star, but they got him on the cheap because he's coming off repeated stays in rehab. The guy had been basically sabotaging his career for decades.
Yeah.
Barely got out of Ally McBeal alive. Remember this was a guy who had gone to doing television.
Yes.
That's where they found him, slumming it out on Ally McBeal, and couldn't even keep that job. And someone said, "Hey, you want to do Iron Man? We need a guy who can act. They tell us you're clean. Come be Iron Man. We're going to pay you nothing, but you get to be part of this thing, and maybe it's going to be good." And of course, it rocked.
Wasn't that the best thing to happen to him in his life?
I think he's going to be the first one to tell you. Absolutely, this was,
I mean, if isn't he like the highest paid guy in Hollywood, if not the
yeah.
highest, one of the highest?
He is certainly doing well. He is certainly doing well, and not for nothing, it also reestablished him as a star.
Yes,
Because that's the thing. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a star before Iron Man. He was known, and when he was a Brat Packer, he was maybe a star, but then he was just part of the Brat Pack.
mm-hmm.
He was never a standalone star. He wouldn't have gotten Sherlock Holmes if he hadn't done Iron Man. And that's the thing about him. And now he can go out and do these things. And Universal going out paying Robert Downey Jr. money for your first film, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. You need a good actor, and maybe it's not Brendan Fraser, but there are a lot of good actors that aren't stars that you could have gotten for that, and you should have focused more on the monsters because it is a monster movie, not a movie about monster hunters. And honestly, there's a real question of whether or not you should have started with the Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a strong argument to be made that really you want to do a Universal Studios monster thing, you got to start in the same way that Marvel. And this is the thing, you got to start with what Marvel did. You got to look for who's a character who's known and recognizable, but not the one you think of. Because that's who Iron Man was. I mean, people had heard of Iron Man,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not the one that you thought of when you thought, oh, a Marvel movie. Now, Marvel did that because they didn't have their other characters. Their biggest character that they could get was the Hulk. And that didn't go as well as they had hoped because, the people forget. That's the other thing. People forget that the Marvel Studios brand was supposed to start with the big Ang Lee spectacular, the Hulk. And although I like Ang Lee's Hulk as much as I like just about any film, it was not a hit. But did that mean that Marvel said, "Oh, well, we're just tossing the whole idea of an interconnected universe. We're just tossing Marvel Studios as a whole"? No. No, they said, "No, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep on going." And DC and Universal, it's like they had their flops, and now they're afraid to stick with the plan, and it's a bad idea for them. They got to stick with the plan and move forward.
No, you know what other big story we forgot to talk about? You just reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first it was on, then it was off. Now they're saying there's still a possibility.
Yeah.
Marvel or Disney and Fox talking to each other.
Oh yeah, well, it was interesting because I was listening to Marketplace the other day about that, and they were discussing this, and essentially Disney is the biggest studio in the world right now, and they produce fewer films than any other studio.
Well, their grosses are probably bigger overall than everyone
Well, yeah,
else.
but that's the thing. It's like they produce like 16 films a year, and they just produce hits. And they're using this amazing market leverage they have. First off, they're using this amazing market leverage to really, because one of the context of this was the fact that, a lot of theaters, they're having these, because in order to run Star Wars, you have to agree to run Star Wars for a month. You can't get Star Wars unless you promise to put it in the theater for a month. And for a lot of smaller chains, especially, or even a lot of smaller theaters, especially theaters that are in like small markets, they're like, I can't run Star Wars for a month because everyone who's going to see Star Wars in this area will have seen it in the first 2 weeks. And then I've got to play Star Wars to an empty auditorium for the rest of the month. And it's just not profitable for me to do that. No matter how much money I'm going to make in those first 2 weeks, it doesn't make any sense to me to run it for a whole month. And but Disney can do that to these producers because they got Star Wars. And so it makes sense that, and what is actually basically happening is the Murdochs are kind of restructuring their entire Fox thing. Because they want to do this, they want to put all their money into Sky TV, which is their satellite TV system, because distribution is where they feel their growth potential is, not content. So the idea of selling off the 21st Century Fox studios, not the TV stations, because Disney can't buy the TV stations, but basically breaking up that Fox News thing, so you'll have will give them the capital to focus on Sky TV, which is what they really want to do, because that's where they see the future is.
Well,
honestly,
I mean, do you think the whole thing is like, Disney's like, well, we don't want to buy the whole Fox thing. Shouldn't the ideal thing be like, we just want to buy Fantastic Four and X-Men back. Disney gets all those characters and all that all the merchandising for them back, and then
Fox has movies.
I know, but maybe for some reason, maybe Disney doesn't want them. I mean,
actually,
you're going to make a ton of money. I mean, the movie's one thing, but all the merchandising, now you can merchandise.
Do you know what Fox owns that Marvel that Disney doesn't own aside from the Marvel properties?
What?
The original trilogy.
Oh yes, Star Wars too. Yes.
Yes, they own. So Disney only owns the remasters and the re-release, basically all the bad ones. When Lucas started like putting in CGIs, the original, the original Star Wars, the original, yes, with Jabba the Hutt as an Irishman, that is owned by Fox. So that's something else they get out of that deal. There's a lot of things they get, and Fox has the Fox is not what it is Fox has never been big enough to really leverage itself the way that Disney can.
Well, that even strengthens my point. If I don't know, if for some reason Disney doesn't want to buy all Fox movies, lock, stock, and barrel, if say that they just want the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff, maybe they can just buy those and then they get all that back, and then Fox gets this huge infusion of cash and capital.
Yeah, but the thing is that if Disney's buying it, they're going to buy everything. Because why would you? Because they're going to throw in that other stuff for free anyway. Basically, is what it comes down to. You may want that, but the fact of the matter is, you don't want to leave that other stuff on the table anyway. because it's like you're going to be paying so much for that. You want your. It's like, you want the free breadsticks. You bought all this pizza. Where's my breadsticks?
True.
I'm not going to pay for them. I want that free 2-liter Coke with this. So the rest of the studio, the Fox's archives, it's like, yeah, give us all that stuff too, because we're paying through the nose for the parts we want. We want the breadsticks too.
Hey, I guess they need more material to fill that Disney digital
Disney
service
Channel,
coming.
yeah, Disney, which they say will be
cheaper than Netflix.
Dramatically cheaper than Netflix. Yeah, well, of course, because they can afford to.
Hey, right now it seems like 99% of what I use Netflix for is the Marvel stuff. So I mean, if you're going to give me the Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, or is it going to be Disney content for my 4-year-old, and it's going to be cheaper than Netflix? Buy Netflix.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's stuff I watch on Netflix that isn't that, like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like and series of unfortunate events, and there's a lot of neat things on Netflix. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Netflix has good original content.
I'm always thinking, I keep thinking, is Disney gonna go to the trouble of building their own thing, or are they just waiting for Netflix to say, buy us out, you can use our platform, just buy us out.
We're gonna have to see what they choose to do, and they anything can happen. Nothing is set in stone yet.
Because, I mean, half their work's already done. You've already got a pre-existing platform. Your Marvel stuff is already there. That machine's already in place.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, the biggest issue for them is just this idea is, do they want to have an exclusive field? So basically, if Disney buys Netflix, then Netflix becomes just the Disney service. Because you're not going to get you're probably not going to get your Batmans v Supermans on there. You're not going to get your Justice Leagues on there. You're not going to get all the DC content that Netflix currently has, like Young Justice and all these other things that they're putting out there that are quite popular.
I think Netflix can live with just having all the Marvel stuff, the Star Wars stuff, all like the kids Disney content. I think they can live with that, monetarily.
Well, I mean,
live with that,
I'm not going to say that they can't live with it. I'm saying that I think that there is an argument on their perspective that there's an advantage to not being a single service. Basically, that for the culture of Netflix, they want to be a shop for everything. And if they sign with Disney and they become just Disney's distribution model, then they lose who they are.
But I mean, haven't they said that they're running with like some debt? I mean, you get bought out by Disney, that all goes away. You don't got to worry about money.
Everything runs with that, Yeah,
but if Disney buys you, I don't think you're running debt.
Oh, you can trust me. You can lose a lot of money and still be. Look at Marvel Comics.
Well, again, in the late 90s, they were facing bankruptcy. Disney buys them out. I don't think that,
Yeah, well, no, they went through bankruptcy and bought them after they had restructured. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, I think the Netflix. I think that Netflix is like Fox. It's something that I think is going to be out there until it either is or is not.
Yeah.
What you might see a deal where the Disney service becomes an add-on to your Netflix. You can get like just Disney standalone, or you can get Disney Netflix as a package, just so you don't have to switch between devices and things like that, or switch between apps.
But I mean, would it also be advantageous for Marvel to buy out Netflix, and even if they have to buy all their content, because DC is going to be starting their own digital platform.
Yeah,
that's where the Teen Titans live action shows go, and that's where the new Young Justice is going. So I mean, if Marvel and DC are competing, if Disney and Marvel and all that has all the all the bonus content of Netflix, like Stranger Things and a series of unfortunate events, does that give them more value than DC?
I mean, here's the thing. I think that basically Netflix brings value to the table. I think, and like I said, I think that's what maybe queered the deal from the start, was that Netflix says we're not just a distribution platform. We actually are a content producer.
Yes.
And we want you to recognize that our content has this value to you. And Disney is like, you know what, we got a buttload of content. You know, we don't know if we need to buy you for your content. We really want your tech. You know, it basically Netflix is saying, "Love me for my eyes," and Disney is like, "Hey, you know what? We just like your hair." You know. I don't know. It might not be the best analogy, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, Netflix. Well, actually, Netflix wants to be loved as a whole person. Disney says, we really like this one aspect of you.
You'll do what I want.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's that, and we'll see what happens. Disney is going to buy what they're going to buy, and people are going to sell to Disney what they're willing to sell to Disney.
Speaking of Netflix, you know what we're going to be talking about right here next week, right?
I guess The Punisher. I totally forgot about it. Yeah, Maz and I have to finish recording because we haven't recorded in a while because
life.
Because Rob isn't putting up. So like we just aired the last episode of AKA Jones Cast.
Well, I'll say start recording, and sorry, people behind the scenes stuff. Start recording. I'm gonna see if he's gonna put some of those on Capes and Lunatics. Maybe I'll see if he'll just start with Defenders and then move.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just got to do the last 3 episodes of Defenders, and then we can go into Punisher. It's not hard. We can do that in fact, we did that the last time where we did like the last 2, and then we did the last episode, and then that same night we did the first episode of the next series. So we can do that, and I'll talk to Maz about that after this weekend, and we'll work it out. But yeah,
still have another week too, so.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. It's like no matter what, it's not going to air until he's done running the Defenders, which is fine, you know. But you know we got to get I'm behind on all that stuff, so we'll get.
I mean we could start talking about it next week on Superconnectivity because I know more.
Oh yeah,
Lilith wants to do a whole Justice League for next week's Capes and Lunatics.
Yeah, that's fine, man. Like I said, I probably am not going to get the chance to see it. But you know,
episode, you don't think?
Justice League?
No.
I mean, I'll probably watch most of the Punisher tomorrow. You know.
Okay.
Actually, it drops tonight at like 2 in the morning, right?
What?
It drops tonight, like at 2 in the morning, right?
What, Punisher?
Yeah.
No, next week.
It was set to premiere on Veterans Day, which is tomorrow.
They were originally talking about that, but now it's set. Remember, we were saying, oh yeah, they're dropping it the same weekend as Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, next Friday. That's what I'm saying. You still have another week.
Oh, okay. So there we go. So, yeah. Shows what I know.
But I was telling anybody who might be listening to this or watching this. Yeah, so Superconnectivity, we'll start next week. We'll probably start talking about Punisher, and then I know you're probably not going to see Justice League, so me, Lilith, and probably Tyler are going to talk about Justice League next week.
So there we go.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap this up. This is our last week to get bucked.
Okay. Oh. I actually didn't finish watching last week's episode, so okay.
This is why you people have to watch us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button because Charlie Esser almost threw up when I said that.
I didn't almost throw up. I became crestfallen.
You got that nauseous look. At least you're like, oh.
Yeah, well, that's called being crestfallen. But yeah, so my crest has fallen, and we will go
that great show tomorrow morning on Capes and Lunatics.
Okay, I will talk to you next week, Phil. Or actually, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. And you can all listen to us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on Capes and Lunatics. And in the meantime, Phil, how can they find you?
You can always get a hold of me, especially if you want to do any interviews with us. Please tell us about your big DC deal. Bendis, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. And remember, follow the Capes and Lunatics on Facebook, on Twitter. Superconnectivity is also on Facebook and Twitter. And the voicemail for all our Capes and Lunatics shows, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way our Miles and Pods once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters. I'll live tweet something someday. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. Okay, Phil. Thank you for connecting with me and Phil, you folks out there in TV, in podcast land. Please super connect with us once again. Good night. So it's Bendis leaving. What do we say next? If we no longer say Bendis, do we say?
Well, I mean, he'll still be at DC. I mean, I know you don't read as much DC, but I mean,
I know, but I mean, like for Marvel fans, we're gonna go Spencer. A lot of people are going Spencer for Nick Spencer. Yeah.
Maybe somebody new will come in to fill the gap.
Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah.